Hello, everybody, and welcome to Looking Ahead EU 2020, where we'll be looking at new opportunities and visions within EU funding for culture after COVID-19. It's all right there in the title. My name is Cori and I'm delighted to welcome you this evening. Thank you for joining us online. We do wish we were welcoming you to the beautiful Bonn this evening, but of course, as of July, Germany assumed the presidency of the Council of the European Union. And so the German Creative Europe Desk Culture is hosting this event. I think, however, it's safe to say we're all by now relatively affine with online meetings and events. And tonight it's raining in Bonn anyway, so no harm done at all. So we're all here to discuss current and future support measures for the EU cultural and creative sectors. And 2020 is a pretty significant year, not alone because of the challenges that COVID-19 has brought to us, but also because 2020 is, of course, the year where decisions about the multi-annual financial framework for the coming 7 years need to be made. So this evening, we'll hear from experts from around Europe who will catch us up with the status quo and share their recommendations and hopes for the future. So let's take a look at our agenda and our wonderful speaker lineup this evening. We unfortunately won't be hearing from either of our announced welcome notes, but we do have a member of Mariya Gabriel's cabinet join us this evening to kick off the ceremonies. And then I'll have a quick chat with Stöver, who is the lead of the Creative Europe Desk Culture and whose team have put together this brilliant event for us this evening. Then we have our first speaker, Barbara Gessler, who is head of Creative Europe, who'll tell us about the funding of the new Creative Europe programme. We'll then hear from Donna Pașaladu, who'll tell us about the new programme Horizon Europe and the larger role which cultural heritage has to play. Then Laurent de Merci will demystify cohesion policy for us. And then we'll hear from Madeleine Ritter for the keynote, and she'll make some bold proposals for the future. Finally, Madeleine Ritter will be joined again by Barbara Gessler and two new speakers. That's Johannes Ebert, the Secretary General of the Goethe Institute, and Sabine Verheyen, who's a member of the European Parliament, for what promises to be a punchy panel discussion. So do stick around to the end for that. Now that's our plan for the evening. Wherever you are joining us from today, we're so glad you made it. In this new normal, we're all sitting in our offices or our home offices, but that doesn't mean that you have to be a passive or a captive audience. We do want to hear from you this evening. So let's take a minute to talk a little bit about tools. We are here in a Zoom webinar. We can't hear you, we cannot see you, but we know you're there. Let's have a look at how many participants we have. 253 people have logged on right now, which is fantastic. If you're not familiar with Zoom webinar, as said, you're completely off camera. We can't hear you or see you. So if you're cooking at the same time or you have rowdy kids in the background, we don't know anything about it. But you can send us general questions, or if you have problems with technology, you can do so in the chat function, which you can see at the right-hand side of your screen. Now, for the interactive part of this evening, we have a different tool in mind called Slido. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but we're going to do a bit of a warm-up now, because this is a tool we want you to use to send your questions and your comments to our speakers throughout the evening. So let's give it a go. On the screen right now, you can see a QR code and a link. So either you could get your phone and scan the QR code to bring up Slido, or you can go to our website where you found the link to Zoom. There's also a link to Slido there, and you can log in through whatever device you're using now. So please give that a go. I'm going to do it at the same time, and we'll see how this works. Open up Slido and answer the first question of the evening. I just want to know, where are you joining us from today? There are 260 participants now in the call. Tell us where you're joining us from today. Wow, we can see the results coming in live. Only 60 people have answered so far, so we'll give it a couple of minutes to give everybody a chance. I'd like at least 200 answers if we can get it happening. Cool, look at that. Hello everyone, welcome from Berlin, Spain, Prague. Oh, fantastic. So most of us are joining from Germany today. 91 people, 93 people. We'll give it another minute to see who else can join in. And it's wonderful that you're all chatting to us in the chat as well. That's lovely. I'm hoping for another few answers, only 110. I'm glad you're all working out how to use the tool. That's fantastic. San Diego, fantastic. We do have someone. Okay, 124. Spain, Italy. I hope everyone who's writing in the comments is also adding their answers to Slido. I think we can leave it there. 128 is not quite half, but we've got another couple of questions, and I hope that we can practice this new tool. I'm going to move on to another question now, if I may. Look, we can see it there on the screen. Now, this is a bit of a trickier question. You have to think and use the tool at the same time. We want to know, what is your vision for the European cultural landscape in 2 words? Give us a couple of buzzwords or a hashtag or a coffee cup slogan, if you like. Give us your vision in 2 words. It's a tricky one. This might be slower. Oh, here we are. We've got a word cloud building. Healthy, green, digital, diverse. Wow, okay, this one's going to be trickier to follow with everybody's answers. Multicultural, solidarity and creativity, rural, all-encompassing, unified diversity, no corona, that was a lovely vision. Cross-border, collective, inclusive, Europe for culture. Oh, this is going to be a great session today. I can see that already. Look, we've got just as many answers as the one before. Cross-border, grounded, interdisciplinary, united. Wonderful. So I think it's safe to say we understand how Slido works. Now, as said, this is a tool we want you to use the whole evening. If at any point during a speaker or a talk, you have a question or a comment that you want to share with that speaker, you type that into Slido and we'll come to that at the end. Also, if you are social media affine, you can feel free to use the hashtag LookingAheadEU 2020 on social media. If you want to shout out about what we're doing today on the web, you can do so. But I think we're warmed up and we can get started. What do you say? Okay, so for our welcome note today, I would like to welcome to the stage, to the virtual stage, Guglielmo de Cola, who's responsible for culture policy in the cabinet of Mariya Gabriel, who is, of course, the European Commissioner for Innovation, Research, Culture, Education, and Youth. Now, I hope Guglielmo is there. Can we see him?
Hi, Cori.
Hi, Guglielmo. I can see you. Great. Welcome.
Very good. Hello. Hello, everyone. I hope you're well. Thank you very much for having me. And first of all, let me apologize on behalf of Commissioner Gabriel, who could not be present with you today. And she therefore has asked me to deliver a few words on her behalf. This has been a difficult year for all of us, and I think that for the culture and creative sector, including heritage especially. But as you mentioned at the very beginning, I'm not here today to list the actions that we have taken since the beginning of the crisis. I would rather focus, as the title of this event, on looking ahead and explaining the new opportunities for the sector within the next MFF. The new recovery instrument, Next Generation EU, and the reinforced long-term budget of the EU will indeed offer increased opportunities for funding outside of Creative Europe. Up until now, when we thought about culture, we mainly thought about Creative Europe. Creative Europe will, of course, continue in the future, and it will be reinforced both from a content and from a financial point of view. On the latter, as you know, the European Council of end of July has slightly increased the envelope of the new program compared to the current one. And as the negotiations are still ongoing, we hope that this will be increased even more. And here let me seize the fact that the chair of the cult committee, Sabine Verheyen, will be here later on to thank her, and of course the European Parliament as a whole for the strong and constant support in this regard. In terms of content, the new program will see new support to specific sectorial needs, including the music sector, building on Music Moves Europe, the book sector, or the architecture sector. Moreover, and this I think is important because it was mentioned in the slide, building on the pilot scheme Opportunus, Creative Europe will have a new cross-border mobility scheme for artists and cultural professionals. These are just a few examples, and I'm sure that my colleague Barbara will be able to give you more details if needed. But I think that it will be important to look elsewhere. As you know, this is the first time that you have on one side education and culture, and on the other research and innovation under the remit of the same commissioner. And I think that this is a great opportunity that should be seized. Beyond Creative Europe, for the first time, we will have a dedicated cluster on culture, creativity, and cultural heritage that will be included in our research and innovation framework program, Horizon Europe. And here again, as you mentioned it, I'm very happy that Donna from DGRTD is here with us today, and that we will most probably get a bit more into the details. Another novelty, which I would like to stress, is, of course, the Knowledge and Innovation Community, what we usually call KIC, that will be launched as of 2022 under the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, what we usually call DIT. You know that we're very good with abbreviations in the European Commission. So on our side, precisely because those three instruments will fall under our direct remit, we will try to ensure synergies amongst these instruments. But I think that it's very important to promote these new tools also to the sector and to the outside world. On top of them, support will also be available under other programs or funds, such as REACT-EU, the new 2021-2027 cohesion policy. And here again, I see that you have invited a colleague of ours who will deal with this issue, with InvestEU or with the Digital Euro program, just to name a few. And the last one, Digital Euro program, of course, will be crucial because as we are experiencing right now also with this platform, digitalization is fundamental. And it is, I would say, part of the solution, and it is something that can help the sector as a whole. Moreover, also because this falls under a remit, I would like to stress Erasmus+. This is an instrument that you're very well acquainted with, I think, and you should know that it is an instrument that we have used over the past months to increase the links and the cooperations between, on one side, education, and on the other side, the culture and creative sectors. Before I hand you back the floor, I would like to mention two points. First, that opportunities for the sectors also have to come from member states. And here maybe Chair Verheyen will come back to that, but you know, the European Parliament recently adopted a resolution requesting that at least 2% of the recovery fund comes from, it has to be earmarked for culture and creative sectors. We think that this is a very interesting proposal, and the instruments and the funds available through Next Generation EU are there. But it is up to the member states, however, to include culture in their national strategies. And the second is the role of the sector. And I think that here it will be very interesting to hear what Johannes Ebert has to say. Because you know that thanks to him and thanks to the Goethe Institute, we launched back in May a platform called the Creatives Unite platform. That is a platform for the sector, by the sector, because our feeling is that also we need concrete ideas that come from the sector. The sector can really help in identifying what is needed. So I think it will be very interesting to hear from him on this point later on. So to sum up, first, we will have more instruments than before, especially via a strengthened Creative Europe program. Second, with a new cluster on culture in Horizon Europe. Third, with a new kick on culture and creative sectors as of 2022. The second element is a focus on innovation. And as I said before, including digitalization and sustainability. And the will to look at the sector as an ecosystem. And on this, we as the entire commission is working on this. We're in the process of identifying industrial ecosystems. And one of them will be culture and creative sectors. And third, I think that there's an important role that have to play both member states and the sector itself. And finally, actually, this is a bit in line with what I said before, but I wrote it down when you were reviewing the words of Slido, and the ones that really got my attention for diversity. That was the first. I think it's very important. The sector is diverse, and we need to recognize this. The second is cross-border, but as I mentioned before, this will be tackled in the new program. And the third is interdisciplinary. And I think that this word is something that we have well understood, and in the elements and in the instruments that I have listed before, you see that there is this will to have an interdisciplinary approach. Thank you very much, and I wish you a very nice workshop.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you very much for that wonderful welcome note, Guglielmo. At this point, I'd like to ask you to jump back onto Slido. I want to ask you very quickly to share your expectations with us for this evening. What are you looking ahead to, and what are you hoping to get out of this evening? Now, while you all busily send your answers to Slido, I'd like to, before we reveal the results, welcome to our virtual stage the lead of the Creative Europe Desk for Culture, Leah. I see, Leah Stöver, that you are already there. Very punctual. Thank you for joining us on stage.
Yeah, thank you, Cori. Thank you. And also good afternoon, good evening to everyone who is watching us from pretty much everywhere. I saw, even San Diego. Wow.
It's impressive, isn't it? And we've got 330 people online right now who've logged in, which is just a wonderful output. Leah, your team and you have worked tirelessly to put this very slick online event together this evening. Thank you so much for hosting us. Now, this event, as I mentioned at the beginning, is of course part of Germany's EU Council presidency. So can you tell us a bit about the role the German Creative Europe Desk Culture has at the moment?
Yeah, of course. I mean, of course, the presidency is also a bit of a special situation for us, but we also do our just normal daily business. So as the Creative Europe Desk Culture, we are assigned by the EU Commission to support the creative and cultural sectors in finding the right EU program and supporting them when they apply. But of course, right now it's a bit of a, special situation, not only because of the presidency, but we are lucky that we have the opportunity to organize the conference. And it is also thanks to our Minister of State for Culture and the Media, who is supporting this event. But we are also in this situation. I think everyone knows that the European Union is negotiating its next multi-annual financial framework. So it's about the next 7 years. And of course, this gives us at the moment also the opportunity to have a look at the different programs. And Mr. Di Cola also already mentioned how many programs there are. And so that's what we are doing at the desk right now. I'm also lucky to have a new colleague in my team who is really looking at these legal regulations and all the difficult, I have to say, difficult text, and to look if there are new opportunities for funding in other programs. She is really going into everything from the fishing fund to Creative Europe, of course, and also Horizon Europe. She is looking at everything, and we are also looking forward to another publication at the end of the year where we want to share our results with everyone, of course. But for today, or let's say the event, of course, is also part of this whole presidency. And I'm also lucky to say that it's not only me organizing all this. Cori, you already mentioned it. I have a great team. They are behind the scenes right now. And also the Creative Europe Desk Culture, we are not the only desk in Germany. There are 4 media desks, and also with our media colleagues, we are working closely together, and they organized a very nice event, I think it was 3 weeks ago, where they put an emphasis on visionary projects in the culture sector, but also the audiovisual. So let's say everyone is really busy in the desk right now during this presidency, that's for sure.
Fantastic. And we're very lucky to have you all working away in the background so that we can meet together this evening. Thank you again for that. If you take a look at the screen now, Leo, you can see all of these wonderful expectations that our audience members have for the day. Lots of stuff about more information and clarity around the programs and the funding, but also some things like less administration we see, and also the synergies that we hope to have between Creative Europe and the other programs. Is that in line with what we've got planned for this evening? Is that what you think we're going to learn about tonight?
Yeah, I think pretty much. I mean, less administration. I'm sorry, I think I'm not the one to make the decisions concerning that, but it's just the good news I always have when someone is asking for less administration. Call us. We are happy to explain you. We are the ones who really dive into these complex application processes and everything. So that's also the good news for today. But I think it's more about, someone mentioned it here on Slido, about the synergies. That's really something we want to look at. Because as I said, it's the moment now where the EU decides about the new budget and the new programs. So we want to really use the moment and not look only at Creative Europe, but also at Horizon, and then also the cohesion policy, to find out what does it bring this new 7 years, the new MFF, and also what are we actually looking ahead. So that's really what we want to do, and that's why we have, and you already explained the program, these 2 parts of the 3 speakers from the Commission in the beginning, and then we switch on and we continue with the panel discussion. So we have experts from the Commission, and then also from other EU institutions, and also to stakeholders from the cultural sectors. And I think I have to say I'm very curious to see what they are looking ahead to, what they are expecting.
Absolutely, there's an impressive lineup. But what about you? What are you looking ahead to? I mean, there must have been a reason why you chose the title Looking Ahead. What was your main impetus for choosing this as a theme? How did you come to it?
Yeah, it was actually something which also, it wasn't my decision. It was a discussion we had in our team. I think it was May or June somewhere. And looking ahead really symbolizes for me and for us, I would say, an optimistic way of looking into the future. And I know that being optimistic, being an optimist, it's a hard time right now. But I want to explain you also what I really mean by looking ahead with a short anecdote, because I think that can maybe better explain what this stands for. So 2008, and I guess everyone here remembers that, was the beginning of the economic crisis. And for me, 2008 was actually the year where I finished high school. So it was the moment where I personally had to think about my future, what to study, what to do next. So I think maybe all of you can remember that time when you were in the same situation. It's a very, very crucial time for your own career, for your own life. And it was difficult, definitely, to make such a decision during a crisis. But I decided to study German philology and social anthropology. And I still remember, I think it was Christmas 2008, when a good friend of mine, he was challenging my decision. He worked at a bank at that time, and he told me that I should do something more useful, something which is of more worth and has more value. And of course, I got a little angry, and I said, okay, I don't agree, and I want to study and do something which has value after the next economic crisis, and which will be of worth and value. And let's say history, I don't know, maybe backed me up, because the bank he worked at does not exist anymore. So I'm sorry for that, and I can assure you he's fine. And of course, we still all need banks, but what I realized personally in that moment, that it's important also in a moment of a crisis to think what you want to do and what you want to sustain or preserve, or maybe even to change. And then it's important to focus on that. And when personally I look at the next decades, even for me, I have another 36 years in my working life. So 36 years more to do wonderful projects and have ideas. And I'm pretty sure that I will not manage, or I will not will be kept busy by the pandemic the next 36 years, maybe a couple of more years even. But I really want to look ahead and also count on the fact that we will have, again, another world to live in, even if it's changed. And that really means looking ahead for me, to count on the future we have and to think about it. And yeah, I have to say also the moment right now is it's great. I mean, the European Commission decides about the next 7 years. So it's really a moment of change where also change is possible. And we want to make use of that. We want to learn about the new budgets, the new programs. And of course, we want to make aware people of the needs of these sectors, and to be aware of these needs during the negotiations. So yeah, looking ahead means change is possible and definitely needed.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. That was very inspirational and very optimistic. That's exactly what we needed to hear to kick us off into this evening. Thank you very much, Leah. I know you'll be working away in the background, but we'll hopefully see you again at the end tonight. So thank you very much.